I'll try and explain what I think we need to do. It's not just with the United States, it's with every government. You have to listen to that Hannah Arendt analysis of it's on a blog post I made called Pathological Political Associations. The essence of the problem is that you get arbitrary, very fluid groupings of special interests that form and dissolve, and the motive par excellence for forming these spontaneous associations through common interests is culpability, and it's that's got out of hand. So you have various groups. You've got people in the NSA that are guilty of gross incompetence and fraudulent accounting and a whole lot of really incredibly fucking criminally negligent contractual arrangements with outside contractors. They're all guilty, together with people in the CIA and the FBI, and you've got a spontaneous association by interest, which is avoiding your joint culpability being identified, and you're being held responsible for the consequences of it. So this is going on all the time, and that kind of grouping makes it creates separate public spheres in Hannah Arendt's language. A public sphere is a kind of intellectual arena in which one can take some kind of action, which one has some kind of power or should have. But the reality is that none of these public arenas that are created actually have any kind of intersection with anything that matters to the people in the country or in other countries. These arenas that are the product of these spontaneous associations formed through mutual common interest are just the only way they can execute any power is what, in the way that Hannah Arendt calls violence. This is violence, not power. They have no control other than through some kind of violence, or violation of rights, of privacy, of freedom of association, things like that. That's the only power they can have, and that's the only power that they're exerting now. They can't exert any kind of power of creative response to problem solving or anything like that. They're impotent, and their only means of control is violence, and that's the situation we've got everywhere. That's why you need some kind of concept of a government before you can act. You need a concept of a public arena, and that public arena has to be preserved. It's the job of the press to do that, and we don't have that because the press are now all involved in this mutual guilt. The journalists have been succumbing to threats, or worse still, just taking huge salaries and doing what they're told because they like the money. They seem to have created these common interest groups, and they'll knock each other out. You know, Murdoch never had control of a very large portion of the press, but he did have control of enough of the press in Britain to be able to create a shitstorm whenever any other press went out of line. And they learned quite quickly not to do it. And Murdoch effectively, at some point, and probably still does, although there's probably other interests that have power over the BBC now, but Murdoch could stop the BBC from producing a report because his media could create such a storm that it just wasn't worth any BBC editor's it wasn't worth his time allowing anyone to put anything like that out. You don't want to be the center of something like that. That's the problem. I gotta stop, I can't speak anymore.